ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's Untethered Live Politi-tics on a Saturday night. I'm your host, Jake Johnson, and tonight we're going to talk about there being a new tariff in town. We're going to talk about polls, trolls, and there's a new impeachment in the works. Dish, how are you doing out there in the world? How's your political life going? Do you feel enlightened? Do you feel like the world's coming down around your ankles? Ready for a nice uppercut from the government? I think things are happening. Amy Elizabeth is first in chat. You get the gold star. Amy, how are you, sweetheart? Sweet love, sweet dear, sweet angel. Sweet Amy, nice to see you. Here's your gold star. Amy says, I'm first in chat. Yes, you are. Amanda says, here's your gold star. And hi, Amy. And hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. Happy Saturday. I hope everyone had a good day. Hi, Jake. How are you tonight? Headachy. But I have goodies, which I will fill myself of soon. Still no voice. I may crap out early on you. I don't know. It seems to be working all right now with the coffee and the squirty stuff. The expensive. I got the expensive. You can't see it. It's green. The expensive stuff. It's helping. But, you know, right now I can talk. We'll see what happens in 30 minutes. Kevin says, hello, Amy and Amanda. Hey, Kevin, what's up, buddy? Amanda says, hi. Amy says, hi, Amanda, and hey, Kevin, kissy face. Nice. Kevin says, nice. Amanda says, we had chicken cacciatore. Yes, we did. I had to chase it all around the front yard, but when I caught it, right in it, it's good. Delicious. Kevin says, I had leftovers from last week. You're not supposed to keep them for that long. 3 days max. Throw it out. Give it to the chickens. What, pray tell, did you have? Patty says, hey, people. Hey, Patty. Nice to see you. Welcome in. Amanda says, Amy says, hi, Patty. And Kevin says, hello, Patty. And Kevin says, hello, Jake. Hello, Sir Kev. Nice to see you. Welcome on into the show. Take your shoes off. Set a spell. It's going to be fantastic. Amanda says, hi, Patty. And Amy says, everything is bullshit. Yes, it is. Ever more obvious every single day. Pardon me. We've started seeing some of that. Amanda has started picking up on it. She points it out when it happens on the news or whatever. We watch videos. She's like, how's that possible? Just like that. Delicious. Nectar of the Gods. We were watching a video. I forget which video. It was one of those atrium type things where they're talking about space. Scientists have discovered a brand new black hole, and it's doing something that they've never seen a black hole do before. It is emitting X-rays in big bursts shooting out from the center at regular intervals, which is how they noticed it. It's like a blinking light. What? I'm pretty sure science has told me to this point that a black hole is a star with such immense gravity that nothing can escape it. No, not even light. That's why it's a black hole. And you're telling me that this one is emitting X-rays, which is a form of light. So what you're saying is you're full of shit and something up there is blinking. Got it. Well, she pointed it out. She's like, that's bullshit. And I was like, see, I told you. Everywhere you look, the more you listen, the more obvious it becomes. Everything is nonsense. All of it. And it just doesn't get better. It's quite mind-boggling that we've believed this shit our entire lives, and down the generations, people have been buying into it over and over again. And it's just now becoming obvious that they cannot keep it up. That at some point they hit the wall of the lie, and they have to backtrack or have to say something contrary to what they've been saying. And it's happening all over the world. Welcome to my universe. Now you can live with it. Trust me, everything is bullshit. Amy says, like, share, and invite your friends to watch. Absolutely. Please hit that like button. There's 10 people in chat. There's only 6 likes. That means 4 of you did not hit the like button. Kevin says, tea with honey. Oh, yeah. Tea like a golf tea? That would be weird. Dip a golf tea in honey and it might help. I'd prefer to use tea, like from a tea leaf, TEA. But I hear your point, and I am drinking hot coffee, which is similar. And it has sugar in it, which is similar. Not quite the same thing, though, right? Fab Daddy says, I came unprepared. That's all right. Me too. I didn't watch any political stuff today. That's all right. Me either. I did brush up on a few things as I was setting up the system so that I had something to talk about. But don't feel bad. I'm unprepared as well. And Fab Daddy said, hi. Hi, Fab Daddy. How are you? Nice to see you. Did your son come with you today? Be sure and tell him that if a person just joins the channel and hears us bantering, they're liable to think I'm being mean to you. Be sure and tell him that I'm just doing my part, that I hold no hard feelings against you. I don't want him thinking badly of the show. Patty says, Miss Amy Elizabeth, Miss Amanda and Kevin, Mr. Jake, that might crap out on us. I might, but I'm going to try very hard not to. As long as I can utter sounds that sound vaguely like sentences, I will continue. Never mind the mule, just load the wagon. Amen. Amanda says, hey, Fab, you always come unprepared, LOL. Not true. Sometimes he smokes a blunt before he shows up. Fab Daddy says, liar? Who's a liar? Who you calling a liar, Fab Daddy? Amy says, I had manwiches, Jake. Oh, I haven't had a manwich in so long. I love manwiches. That's what the manwich and you make, sloppy joes. I love them. That's a good meal right there. I missed those. I hadn't had those since I was probably in my 20s. I probably had a few in my 20s, but it's been a long time. Those are delicious. My mom used to make those as a treat when she didn't feel like actually cooking. We didn't know that, though. It was like, sloppy joes. She's like, yeah, sloppy joes. I don't have to cook. DJ John, what's up, buddy? He says, hi, everyone. I had a bad day. I lost 2,000 calories and burnt the brownies in the oven. Well, that's a good day. That's 2,000 calories that don't go to your hips. Congratulations, sir. I know it's a rough change, but you'll get there 1 calorie at a time. Just keep pushing it. I'm proud of you. Amanda says, hey, DJ. And Kevin says, hello, DJ. And Patty says, moon landing turned me in as the moon landing tuned me in as a child on the BS. Right. Yeah, there's something strange about that moon landing thing. And people get all upset when I talk about it because, and it's like this with other things too, watch it. You'll notice it happen when I'm doing my thing. People love me until I say the thing that they're adamant about, and then they hate me. And I've yet to figure out how to get around that. But here's the simple truth. Some people tie their identity to ideas. Most of the people from the 80s, their entire identity is wrapped up in the moon landing. It's a big deal. It's part of being an American. That's the American dream, big identity thing. And when you question it, it scares them and it angers them and they come after you and they will fight hard with absolutely no reason to do so. But there's something screwy about that moon landing thing. I promise. I can point out a few pointers if you like, just to get you started. But I assure you, and by the way, for YouTube and for everybody else listening that might be recoiling at the thought, I don't deny that we went to the moon. I don't doubt that we went to the moon. I'm quite sure it's possible. But what you saw on TV in 1969 was bullshit. I'm sorry, there's no other way to see it. If you have no brain cells and believe everything that's shoved in your gullet, you can buy into it. But the minute you think about it for 1 second, it falls apart. Just can't be. I hate it as much as you do, but I have accepted its bullshit. And Fab Daddy says, "Oh, DJ John, it's a sad thing that you lost your brownies. I understand brownies are delicious, but maybe not the best thing in the world to eat." Kevin says, "Hello, Fab." And Amanda says, "Oh, no, DJ, that's a bummer. Especially if you were looking forward to them. That's rough. That's one of those that you look forward to. Oh, I'm going to have brownies. Oh, no." I'm with you. I understand you. I understand your pain. Kevin says, "Hello." Fab Daddy says, "Hello, Kevin. Who were you calling a liar, Fab Daddy? I didn't get the meaning of that statement and to whom you were speaking." Amy says, "Oh, no, don't burn brownies. They work really hard selling cookies." Right on. Fab Daddy says, "Every brownie is scared." Scared? Sacred. Sacred. Every brownie is sacred. Oh, the brownie. Yes, I guess so. Amy says, "Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please do. Please hit that subscribe button if you hadn't done so already. It's wonderful. I have a wonderful hot cup of coffee here in your honor. Delicious. Thank you to the people that provide this coffee to the show. It is fantastic. It is a regular cup of joe. That's the way I like it for show, you know. Anyway, don't you want to have a cup with me? If so, go to the kitchen, pour up a nice hot cup of coffee, sit down, kick your shoes off, and let's have a conversation about politics. If you don't, if you have the unfortunate mishap of being in life without coffee cups, you can get one in the description below. I recommend the first one. It has my face on it. It is fantastic. However, there are a lot of new options down there, including but not limited to stainless steel tumblers, the big ones and the little ones. They have locking lids. They hold your coffee hot for hours. They have an Untethered Live Bible Study logo on the front and all of my platforms on the back. They are fantastic. They look great on a coffee table. And they're conversation starters, so get one while supplies last. Also, like, subscribe, share, support, join. And super chats are available in the chat box if you want to show a little love, if you want to throw a little clang-a-lang in my pocket, if you want to. You can do that right there. Or, but more specifically, hit that CashApp, $ Jake Johnson Band. I greatly appreciate that. One last thing. If you would like to have a place that you can hang out with everybody here outside of the YouTuberverse, outside of their oppressive censorship and me misreading everything that you write, you can do that over at facebook.com/UntetheredLive family. The link is in the chat. It's a great place to hang out, get to know each other, share pictures, videos, texts, and chats, and just be a general troll right over there. So go check that out, and I appreciate your patronage. Now, back to the show. Fab Daddy says, "I haven't hit it." Well, hit it. I need more spunk before I hit it. Really? Well, jerk really hard, count to 3, and then hit that like button. Amy says, "Fab sounds like a personal problem involving lots of lotion." Exactly. That's what I got out of that. Kevin says, "LOL, my spelling is atrocious." Well, you spelled atrocious right. You're somewhere. Yep. Fab Daddy says, "LOL." And Amanda says, "It's okay, Kevin. We read typoes." Typonese, says Amy Elizabeth. Vera Lynn says, "Hello." Hi, Vera. Are you feeling better today? I hope you are. Nice to see you. Welcome to the show. Patty says, "That's funny, Miss Amanda." Kevin says, "Hello, Vera." And Fab Daddy says, "Actually, my son voted for Trump, and he enjoyed the banter." Excellent. Well, I'm glad he was here. And I'm sorry I didn't recognize the name, or I would have said hello when I saw him. Amanda says, "Hi, Rachel." Amy Elizabeth says, enjoy the house all to myself. My son is on call this week and got a call. Nice. So you get to run around naked and nobody's going to say a thing about it, huh? I've never understood that myself. I don't want to run around naked even when I'm by myself. It surprises me, too. Vera says, how are y'all? Well, we're fine, Vera. How are you? Nice to see you. Amanda lies because I do come prepared sometimes. Well, I hear you, but don't call her a liar. Amanda says, LOL, geez, I will hook you up, Jake. Sloppy Joes. Nice. I get Sloppy Joes now. Put them on a hamburger bun. I don't want them on bread. They fall apart. Amanda says, LOL, Fab. And Fab Daddy says, bwah. Amanda says, well, at least your son is on the right track, Fab. Amy says, haters are gonna hate. That's their problem. Hate will rot a soul if it festers too long. I agree, 100%. I don't know why people get so wrapped up in everything. Always got to be like diametrically opposed to anybody that says anything opposite of what they think. And I'm like, how do you think you got as smart as you are? Do you recall the last so many years of learning stuff? It usually involves you being wrong and making a fool of yourself and then being corrected by an adult. For some reason in 2025, the year of our Lord, that's not acceptable anymore, and I don't understand. When are the adults going to stand up and say, hey, sit down and shut up and listen? You're wrong. Let me fix that for you. Second of all, do you think I would waste my breath arguing with you if I didn't love you? I wouldn't. So that's a compliment in and of itself that I argue with you, and you don't see it. You being the whoever we're talking about, not you personally. The royal you. So anyway, I don't understand why people get so bent out of shape, but they do. I guess we all can't have centered egos. Can I get a fan? Thank you. It's hot in here. Kevin says, question everything. I agree, Kevin, and that's a great way to think. Great way to approach the world with inquisitive mind. Why? Because they will feed you a line of shit and send you down the road so fast it'll make your head spin, and they do not care that you don't get anything out of it. They care only that they get what they get out of it. So question everything and be on your P's and Q's and be smart. Be wiser than the serpent. Look at the world around you, and if it doesn't square with reality, it isn't. Vera Lynn says, you're married, Fab? Shocking. Interesting. I don't know if he's married or not. I don't recall him saying anything about a wife. I know he's got a kid. At least one, maybe more. Patty says, that's the kind of war we are fighting. A spiritual war and a intellectual war. Aaron says, yeah, I don't know what that is. It looks like a pair of eyeballs snorkeling, but I'm not sure. Hey, Aaron, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Welcome to the show. 1 second. Pull that fan a little closer. Amanda says, LOL, Rachel. DJ says, Jake, did you hear India and Pakistan are at war with each other? I did not, but that doesn't surprise me. Because they're third world countries and they have problems. And Fab Daddy says, I am single and I'm happy. Right on. Amanda says, hi, Aaron. And Aaron says, yo. And Vera says, oh, you were married. Still shocking. Amy says, I look like a bad episode of Star Wars. Who filmed it? The shadows are off. Oh, the moon landing. I don't know who filmed it, but I know that Stanley Kubrick had something to do with it. How do I know that? Because there's footage or film, pictures of him meeting with the heads of NASA about 2 weeks before all of this stuff kicked off. And he is meeting with all of the heads of the people that were involved in putting this thing together. He's meeting with them. Why? I don't know. I do know that after the moon landing, they sent him a $9 million camera as a thank you. And that camera he used in one of the filming bits of 2001: A Space Odyssey. You don't just send somebody a $9 million camera in 69 money unless they did something very special. That's a big gift right there. I think he was involved in developing that camera. I'm not sure. I'm also not sure on the dates of when he received the camera versus when the whole thing went off, when they went into space. I don't know. I just know that those sequence events occurred, and it's less than uncanny. It's not nothing, as they say. It ain't nothing. It ain't not nothing. Yeah, a triple negative. Amanda says, what did you have for dinner, Aaron? Kevin says, hello, Aaron. Patty says, sometimes mere eye contact will start some shit. Especially if you're authoritative. People really, these days, really do not like people like me who are authoritative. They consider me arrogant or narcissistic or some other adjective. But I'm not wishy-washy. I am who I am. I know what I know, and I'm solid in that fact. And when you approach me and I talk with you, I speak to you to your face. I don't avoid eye contact. I don't shy away. I dominate my space. And apparently, that's the wrong thing to do. That's a microaggression in today's time. I don't understand. That's not how I was raised. Fab Daddy says, Vera, I love you the most. Aw. You guys should get married and haunt each other forever. Sometimes it be like that, yo. Hang on, my chat jumped. Amy Elizabeth said, hey, Aaron, kissy face heart and live long and prosper. Aaron says, I had cereal, LOL. Nothing wrong with that. I eat cereal all the time. Oh, boy. Verlyn says, Patty, for real, if you are a stranger and make eye contact with me, I will fight you. Really? Weird. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron, lazy dinner. Vera says, Fab, damn straight. Aaron says, yup. And Amanda says, we had chicken cacciatore for the second time. They heard. We know. It was delicious. Aaron says, hey, Amy, kissy face back at you. Aaron says, what is cacciatore? It's where you let a chicken out of the cage and you run around and catch it. And then you drag it back in and throw it in the frying pan while it's still alive and then beat it with a pair of tongs until it stops moving. And then you pour ketchup all over it and eat it. At least that's what I was told. I don't know. What it is says politics. There, I talked about it. Right on. Well, as you well know, we start off with politics, but it usually devolves into something else. That's all right with me, too. As long as we're talking, that's all that matters. Amanda says, it's chicken baked in red sauce. I used 4 cheese over rice. Nice. Red sauce. Ketchup. Fab Daddy says, politics. I don't like the administration sending natural-born citizens young out of the country. Well, who natural-born citizens have they sent out of the country? I don't think they have. I think that's some nonsense that's being spouted by people that are trying to create some wrongdoing that Trump has done, which he hasn't. Like the new impeachment thing that's going on, which 3 Democrats, one of them being Jerry Nadler, backed out of today, asked to have their names taken off of it because the person that put it forward did not run it through the heads of the administration first, or leadership, heads of leadership, rather. Nobody saw it. Nobody approved it. He just put it out there, and it's full of lies. So it's not going to go. This is not it's not a real impeachment. He didn't do anything to deserve an impeachment. Nothing has risen to that level yet. And the day is still young. He might. And they might get one over on him, but this one ain't going to be it. This was a ill-fated plan from the get-go. Dennis Bigfoot says, can we mock you instead? LOL, absolutely. If you can find something mock-worthy, go right ahead. I'm tough as nails and mean as a rattlesnake. I can take anything you can dish out. But fair warning, I dish back, baby. And if you can't stand the heat, you need to get out of the kitchen immediately. But yes, you absolutely can mock me. I do quite a lot of mocking myself. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I'm not above it. So mock ahead on, my brother. But again, I warn you strongly, heed the consequence of mocking me, because I mock back. Aaron says, oh, dang. Amy Elizabeth says, I had a great day with my mom. Excellent. I was going to ask you about that. I just hadn't got to it yet. How was the visit? And we had shopping therapy. Nice. She got me clothes for our trip, and I guess she wants me to look good for the family. Well, as you would. That's wonderful. And I'm glad that you guys had some time together. And I hope that you can bury the hatchet and have a good relationship. Amanda says, OMG, Fab, LOL. They didn't. They sent 2 undocumented mothers, and she took her kids with her. That's her problem, not ours. Right. Yeah, the mother was undocumented. The children were not. But that's their mother. And would you rather him separate kids from their parents and put them in cages like Obama did? No. He sent the family because she can't be here illegally. Think about that for a minute there. Amy says, hi, Dennis. And DJ John says, lots of KY. That's Kentucky for those of you paying attention. Dennis Bigfoot says, hey, Amy. And Aaron says, Amy about to be hot stepping. Yes, she's about to be looking good. Look out, fellas. There's a new chick in town, and her name is Amy. Good gracious. Amanda says, hi, Dennis. And Dennis says, hey, Amanda. And what it is says, count to 3 and push the like button. Absolutely. There's 17 people in chat and only 10 likes. That means 7 of you don't like me all that much. Why is that? Care to elaborate? I can take it. Come on. Or just hit the like button and we'll all be happy. Fab Daddy says, they didn't give much time to the mother to relinquish to another family member. Well, yeah, she's here illegally. Out you go. You don't get time. That's not how it works. When you break the law, you get in trouble. When's the last time you got a speeding ticket and the cop said, I'll give you time to call your family and let them know that you're going to have to pay a bill and you'll probably be late on the light bill because you got to pay this ticket or you're going to lose your license. I'll wait. No, they don't do that. They just take you to jail or give you a ticket or whatever it is. It's a bad analogy, but you get the point. She is illegal. She's been illegal. She's overextended her time being illegal in the country. Time to go. She should have thought about that before she had kids. Amanda says, hi, what it is. And Patty says, Rachel, we are born hateful as 2 or 3-year-olds are selfish by nature. We just have to fight the hateful nature and with the commandments, and then we feel better about not being hateful. I can see that. Children are hedonistic. I wouldn't say hateful. They are self-absorbed because they don't know anything else. You have to be part of a community to grow into one. Same thing with people that stay home all their life versus people that travel. If you are traveled and you've been to many cultures and you've experienced many cultures, you are elevated in your ability to think. Whereas a person who's been in the same town all their life can't even imagine what this person has seen or done or know. It's just two different levels of thought. People are created equally, meaning that all people are start off with the same tools. Some have more than others, but nobody has less than others, if that makes any sense. I guess they do. Some people are born with deformities or whatever. So I guess there are people that are born with less, people that are born level, and people who are born with more. But everybody has the same tools to work with and an equal opportunity to do whatever you're going to do with those tools. Then you enter nature or nurture versus nature, and you get involved with certain things like where you're born and the possibilities that are available to you based on where you're at. And that cannot be helped. You are who you are. You are where you are. You can either leave or stay. If you stay, you have to deal with what you got there. If you're in a crap place, you need to leave. I will defer you to Sam Kinison when he said that we spend X amount of dollars every year feeding the hungry and the homeless. You know how to solve that problem? Tell the people that are hungry and homeless to move. You know what's here? Sand. Food don't grow in sand. There will never be food here. Get in a U-Haul truck and let's take you to the city where there's food, plenty of it. It's a funny joke, but it's true. A lot of people are in the situation they're in because of lack of ambition. They don't want to go anywhere, so they're in that situation. I'll give you an example, a personal one. I am a talented musician. Before I lost my voice, I would have said, and I would have been correct in saying so, that I am every bit as good or better than anybody on the radio at any given time in history. I have quality, I have performance ability, I have education in music, and I put on a damn good show. I am marketable, but I never made it anywhere. Why? Well, I'll tell you why. The biggest reason is because I didn't move to Nashville when I was 18, which I should have. Should have been there when I was 15. I had the opportunity to when I was 18 and chose not to because I was told and I believed that country music was dead, and I was in country music at the time, and it was. I was told that if you really wanted to make it in country music, you had to go to Branson, Missouri, because that's where everything was happening at for that brief period of time. That's exactly what the truth was. However, what I did not foresee was that it's a pendulum, and it will come back. And after that came all of the Jason Aldeans and the Trace Atkinses and the Brad Paisleys and all of the big superstars that came up in that group of people after I thought that country music was dead. When really, it was that version of country music that was dead, and a new version was on the horizon, and I did not have the wherewithal to see it. So I missed the opportunity. Then I spent the next 20 years in clubs under the false impression that I would be discovered one day just by doing hard work and being out there. Not true, because those days have been gone since the 60s. So, a group of faulty informations coupled with the fact that I am a terrible business person, that I'm an artist through and through, and I know nothing about running a business, I missed my opportunity. And then the one chance that I did have, I was acutely aware of the cost to my soul, and I backed away from it, which means I lost any opportunity I would ever have of being famous. That being said, I could have been. I had everything you needed to be, but I made choices that hurt me in the run. You can apply that idea to everyone on planet Earth. If you know better, you can do better. But if you don't know better, you can make choices that will ruin you and not even know that you did. It's just the way that it is. Amy says, be nice to the woman with the massive hammer. Amen. Absolutely. Amanda says, yep, they did. They told her to make arrangements and she refused, so her problem. Well, there you go. I don't know anything about this story, but Amanda probably does. And she says that they were given time and they refused to do anything. So, yeah, you get deported. Take your kids and go. But if you would rather that our administration separate the children from the mother and put the kids in cages like Obama did and send the mother back packing. We could do that too, but I don't think you want that. See, the real thing is what you want is for us to leave the illegals here. That's what you want. So you'll bitch about anything they do, whether it be put the kids in cages or send the family as a whole unit or put them up in a motel until they can be transported. What you want is for them not to transport them. Well, that's not how the countries work, and you can't have what you want always. The best thing you can do is appreciate that they're trying to do it in the most humane way. And if you have a better idea, I'm all ears. So are they. What it is says, I love being naked in the house. Right on. It can be freeing. Fab Daddy says, it's okay. The child born here in America, she can return. True, but her mother can't. And Amanda says, yep, the child can. Which is also a problem because a lot of people come over here and get pregnant and then they have citizens born, but they're not, which causes a strain. They're hoping, and when Democrats are in office, they succeed in that because the child is native to America, the mother won't get deported. That's why they do that. Well, that law has been changed, at least for now. And if you're illegal, you get booted. Simple as that. My advice would be is think before you jump and don't get pregnant when you come over here, and you won't have that problem. DJ John says, I had chicken balti curry for dinner in the fridge. Nice. So that's what, like spicy chicken and some kind of rice? Aaron says, I'm lost. What are you lost about? Amanda says, about what, Aaron? Fab Daddy says, I love you too. Right on. Oh, the child thing? No, apparently some woman got deported who had children here that were not illegal. They were born here. But she was illegal. And so when they rounded her up and they moved her, they sent her children with her because she's their mother. They go with the mother. Well, when they turn 18 and can travel on their own, they can come back here all they want. Amy says, John, you eat dinner in the fridge? Do kitchen tables not exist in the UK? Vera says, Fab, what? You just say stuff to be annoying, and it works 100% of the time. Hey, we need people like that, though. Fab Daddy's performing a vital service. He gives me something to bitch about. It's wonderful. If you only get asked a couple of questions a night, it's good that they be flaming questions that you can expound on rapidly, because that gives me a thing to create content over. It's wonderful. Amanda says, an illegal got deported and her kids were citizens. She took them with her instead of leaving them here with family. Right, well, that was her choice to do. She didn't have to take them with her, but she is their mother. So, I mean, when I was a kid, I wanted to stay with my mama, too. It's totally understandable. Had my mother been illegal and she got deported, I would have went with her. DJ says, Amy, the toilet paper is in the fridge. Gross. Fab Daddy says, it's better than being a silent nobody, Vera. Right on. Have something to say, Fab Daddy. I'm with you. Amanda says, LOL, Jake, you just wanted to be blown. Yeah, absolutely. What are you talking about? I'm down. Amy says, India and Pakistan are at war? Over which liquor store? Thank you. Come again. Aaron says, and gas stations, LOL. Right on. Fab Daddy says, which? Warlock, your turn. What are we doing? Amy says, smiley face. Vera says, hang on. Vera says, Amy, disrespectful much? Nah, not at all. That's wonderful. DJ says, they're throwing poppadoms at each other. What is a poppadom? I don't even know what that is. Are we talking about pomegranates? Poppydoms. I don't know what that is. Amy says, it's just a joke, Vera. LOL. Right on. Fab Daddy says, currently cooking Cajun style. Andouille. I don't know what that is either. I like Cajun food, though. What is andouille? Amy says, Mel Brooks comedy style. That's right. Sausage. Okay. I like sausage. Excellent, Fab Daddy. Vera says, Amy, yes, I know. I was being sarcastic. Fab Daddy says, message retracted. I really hate this chat jumping so much I can't keep up with what's going on. I'll find it, though. I found it. What is a poppydom, says Fab Daddy. I don't know. I'm asking, too. What is a poppydom? Poppydom. Amy says, gotcha, Rachel. Amanda says, they would kill each other. Vera says, Amanda, also considering the fact I'm engaged. Right on. Well, again, it was just a joke. I didn't mean it. I don't mean half of what I say. The other half I'm very serious about. Amanda says, LOL, you have cereal for a midnight snack now? Not dinner since I'm here. Right on. I have cereal anytime I damn well please, but I do get plenty of dinner, so I don't have to eat it for dinner. That's true enough. Amanda says, true, Rachel. What it is says, I went through my girlfriend's purse the other day, and she had 6 condoms, and I said, man, she's pretty stupid. She don't even have pecker. Yep. Aaron says, catch a Tory is when you finally get that pretty girl. Well, the only Tory that comes to my mind right now is Tory Spelling and bleh. Fab Daddy says, catchy Torny. Right on. Pompadom says, DJ, are Asian sort of dried pancakes, Fab. Okay. They would throw dried pancakes at each other. Fab Daddy says, Lamau. Aaron says, I'm going to catch me a Tory, LOL. I believe you will, buddy. We need a Tory for Aaron over here. Amanda says, it was absolutely not ketchup. It was red and saucy and had tomatoes in it. It was ketchup. I'm sorry. Mike Letterist said something he shouldn't have been saying. Yeah, we're not idiots, Mike. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. Amanda says, LOL, what it is. And Amanda says, Mike, take that crap elsewhere. That's right. Go somewhere else with your childish nonsense. If you got something actual to talk about, we'll welcome you in. If you want to say nonsense like that's offensive to people here that I will absolutely punch you in the eye over, you probably should leave now. Amanda says, way to go, Amy. Aaron says, I did get the joke until Amy removed it. Yeah, they've been trying that ever since I started this channel. Every now and then, some little child will come in and try to get me to say the N-word by misspelling it or putting it in a weird context. They don't understand that I know how to read, and I'm not going to do that. If I say it, I'll say it because I want to say it, not because somebody tricked me into it. Amanda says, one more mic, and you'll get booted. That's your warning. Amy says, I saw it, Amanda. Saved you the effort. Right on. Aaron says, I didn't get the joke until you removed it. Well, now you see. Patty says, Nadler and Trump, real estate enemies. Yeah, Nadler is a weird fella. He looks like he smells like mothballs. If anybody has a smell that you can see, it's him. And he is one of the three that backed out of the current Trump impeachment that has been placed today or this week. So that tells you everything you need to know, because that guy hates Trump with a passion. And if there was anything legitimate about it, he'd be all over it. So the fact that he backed out should tell you everything. Fab Daddy says, pun on words are greatly appreciated, but ill-advised. Right on. Well, some people are just idiots, and for some reason that gets them off. They like that kind of thing. I don't know why. But there's people that think farts are funny. So there's all different levels of humor, and I understand that. I'm fine with that. I just don't want it here, because I don't want that associated with me. When I'm hateful, you damn well know it. Kevin says, he who mocks last mocks best. Right on. Apparently it's contagious. Amy Elizabeth said, Jesus is Lord, and we will not have blasphemy in this room, so bye-bye. Aaron says, D. Q, your turn. Amanda says, hi, Elena, welcome. Bye, Elena. Debbie says, I read today that the guy bringing the impeachment is over $800,000 in personal debt over his last election. So this is just a way for him to get more campaign donations that he can pay the debt. I don't doubt that at all. The one thing I know about Democrats is that they put it all on the last election, and they did not pay their tab. And a lot of those people have a lot of problems because they banked on a situation they thought they had in the bag. They spent a lot of money, and they can't pay that money back. It's gone. So Kamala Harris and her team and all the other people involved in all of that election nonsense, they are holding the bag at the moment. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if he wasn't one of them. Amy says, thanks, Vera. Amanda says, we don't do trolls in here. Right on. At least not idiotic ones. If you're going to be a troll, at least be clever. Amanda says, hi, Debbie. And hi, Debbie, by the way. I don't know if I said hi or not, but hi. And Vera says, that's disrespectful. Right. Amanda says, way to go, Rachel. Amy says, hey, Elena, start with hello next time. Well, that's enough of that. Patty says, yeah, put the trolls on the trolley. Right on. Amy Elizabeth says, dude looks like a lady. Barely. Fab Daddy says, your mods are protecting you, and trolls are new people. Some are ugly and mean. Others are ugly and nice. True. But they know which ones to let through and which ones to boot out. You see, there's a base level of intellect that is required for this show. This is not a right to be here. It's not a privilege. It's an honor to be in this chat. These people are fantastic. Every one of them. I don't have one bad apple in the bunch. Everybody here brings something to the table. So there's a base level of just humanity that is involved. And if you don't have it, you pretty much show it up front and they boot you. There's a lot of people here that started out as trolls, by the way, Fab Daddy, and they're still here. Why is that? Well, because they started out as a troll, but then heard something they liked and decided to give it a chance, and then heard something they really liked, and yet they're still here. Amanda says she thought having kids in the U.S. would allow her to stay here. Right on. Vera says, Amanda, thanks. She was annoying me more than Daddy. Not in the mood. I lost $1,000 at the casino and got my first ticket. Oh, no. That's horrible. I'm sorry you lost all that money, and I'm sorry you got a ticket, too. I'm more mad about the ticket, Lamau. I hear you. Yeah. Useless. Fab Daddy says, I almost burnt my sausage. The heat is hot. Amen. I'm burning up over here, sweating bullets. And I got the air on and a fan on. Still hot. Amanda says, LOL, geez, Rachel. Amy says, what was the ticket for, Rachel? Probably speeding. Vera says, I've gotten pulled over by male cops every time and always got out of it. The one time I get pulled over by a damn female, she gives me a ticket, shaking my head. Yeah, she ain't falling for your cleavage or your smile, batting your eyes. Amanda says, were you speeding? And Vera says, Amanda, it is bad. I won $6,000 and lost it all in the same day. We were at the casino for 16 hours. Wow. That's awesome and terrible. It's a problem. Fab Daddy says, Vera, your witchy ways only save you so many times. Aaron says, Amanda says, oh, damn, Rachel, I can't blow money like that. I can. You give me $1 million, I'm sure I could spend it in a day. Probably about 20 minutes. I'll take that challenge. I have expensive tastes. Vera says, Amanda, I was going 41 and a 25 by mistake. It was 11:30 p.m. at night. 41, that's double the speed. Yeah, you got a ticket. Amy says, I used to go to the casino with my husband. Never spent those amounts, but sounds like fun. We got a couple people that go to the casinos in here. And sometimes when they win big, they'll give me a super chat. That's always nice. Vera says, Amanda, well, when you are bipolar and get manic, you don't give a fuck. I'm pissed about the ticket. I hear you. Well, I am bipolar, and I go manic sometimes. And then I get accused of being a drunk or something. But, you know, it happens. Amanda says, damn, Rachel, that sucks. Amanda says, I bet. And Vera Lynn says, but she gave me a ticket for failure to obey, so it is better. Failure to obey what? Speed limit? Amanda says, right. And Vera Lynn says, Amy, I need more Amy. I'm trying to get in your high roller club and get a black card. Nice. What does that mean? Amy says, Vera, my sister is bipolar. I completely understand the manic episodes. Fab Daddy says, I think anyone can spend their money how they see fit. There is a saying, a fool and their money is soon parted. True. Agreed, 100%. Vera says, I would hit the jackpot, fly first class to Sweden, and be set. Right on. Amanda says, I am a hard rock member too, though, LOL. The Hard Rock Cafe, I guess. Yeah. I have never been to a casino other than one that was attached to a truck stop and I was passing through. I've never actually went to a real casino. I try to stay away from gambling because I have an obsessive personality and I'm absolutely sure that it would suck me in and I'd lose my house. Vera says, Amy, exactly. And LOL Amanda. Patty says, Jake, you are where you are supposed to be, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans I have for you. Well, thank you, Patty. I appreciate that. I'm trying to be. I'm trying to do something positive for the world. I only get a certain amount of time here, and I've wasted most of it. So I'm trying to do something good with what I have left. Amy says, I saved my sister multiple times from deleting herself during her own downswings, or during her downswings. First time, I was 11. Then her manic stages were off the chain. The doctors finally got her meds right, and she's doing better. Absolutely. That's fantastic. I'm not that kind of manic. I have obsessive compulsive behaviors, but I don't think about self-harm or anything like that. I guess I made that decision a long time ago that no matter what happened, I was going to see it to the end, just out of sheer morbid curiosity to see what would happen next. But I have all the other stuff. Amanda says, I don't want none of them here. They take up all our benefits for the Americans who need them. We must be still talking about immigrants. Yeah, well, you know. Combat Jack says, Chinese Democrat bat meat pizza 2019. That's a sentence. I don't know what it means, but you go, boy. Welcome to the show, Combat Jack. Dennis says, what they want is to look like they care, but what have they done to improve these lives besides trying to give away something they don't own? What are we talking about? Specifically, who are they and which lives are we referring to? Because that could go several different directions, but I think I know what you're talking about. But could you be more specific? Amanda says, and live off of us for free, right? And High Combat, welcome. Fab Daddy says, I really don't believe in imaginary lines. I think everyone should have free will travel everywhere or anywhere. And yes, I know that's not possible, but I wish it was. Well, I agree, but they're not imaginary. There is a border. It's not imaginary. This side of the dirt is American, and that side of the dirt is not. And that line should be kept at all costs, because otherwise you don't have a country. If everybody could go everywhere without restriction, it would not be pretty. And it would be very dangerous. And the problem with your thinking, which I understand, because it's a noble thought to wish free access to everybody to good stuff. It's a noble thought. The problem with it is foresight. You're not thinking it through. You're not going to the nth degree of that notion. And if you did, if you were capable of that, if you could look beyond yourself in your moment, you would notice that a lot of problems occur when you allow people free will, free travel. And one of those problems is the bad people come with the good people, and you don't know who they are. Now, is that a big problem? I don't know. Ask any country that's been invaded and taken over. Ask the Native Americans if it's a problem to let people just waltz in when they want to. Or, any other country. And I assure you, they will tell you that they started with the best of intentions. They opened their hearts and extended their hands. And the next thing you know, they were living in a casino or something. Such is the nature of, dividing and conquering. And that's the way it works with countries, and I understand that. Unfortunately, as long as there's land, there's going to be somebody that wants to own that land. And then somebody that's going to want to take that land from the person that currently owns it because they're stronger, which is why we have countries. And I didn't start any of that, so I can't be blamed for it. But I'm here in a country that was established before I got here, but I'm part of it. So I want to keep it the way that it is because I like it. I don't want it to change. I don't want it to weaken or fall apart or be destroyed or be co-opted. So I protect my borders. And if you expand that to the country, I think my government should protect its borders. Because I can think through the end of that thought process. And it's not pretty. And I wish it was true too, Fab Daddy, but it's not. And I live in the real world, and no matter how much you wish for something that's not going to work out, You can't have it. So you have to get with the program and live in the real world. I wish that everybody could get a basic income and live for free. I wish that I got a check every month for, $10,000 or whatever it is. And I had just enough money to pay my bills and buy a few toys and have a good time. And it came off of the government tit, and that was fine. Here's the problem with that, though. It ain't free. Somebody has to pay for it. And who is that somebody? Another American citizen who worked really hard for that money. So, as long as I breathe, I work hard for my money and what I achieve. And I can't have it both ways. I would love to have money just pouring in. But it don't work that way, unfortunately. That's the part about growing up that sucks. You have to come to certain conclusions. You can't just have it however you want it. You have to be reasonable about it. Amy says, hi, Combat Jack. Welcome. Vera says, Amy, that's sad. I'm so glad you were there for her. And I totally get that. And Amanda says, so you like supporting people who don't do shit to earn it. Well, that's the problem with socialism. People work because they have to. They're incentivized to do so. If you get paid well enough, you work harder to make more money so that you can achieve more things. If you even the playing field, the only people that are going to work are the people that are incentivized to do so, and everyone else is going to just live for free. Because if you don't have to work, why would you? And if you think that's not over half of the population, you'd be wrong. Amy Elizabeth says, we're praying for you, Vera. Amen. Vera says, Fab Daddy, I agree. They should let me into Sweden so I can live with my fiance because they make it pure hell. I'm sorry about that. But he can come here just as good as you can go there. Dennis says, so you leave your doors wide open, Fab? I doubt it. Right. Yeah, that's also the problem that when I said you don't think it through, you don't think it backwards either. You don't apply it to yourself, which is why everybody in Martha's Vineyard freaked out when Texas sent those immigrants to Martha's Vineyard. Can't have that. There was only 29 of them there, by the way, and they freaked out. It was a national crisis. Yet thousands of them are coming over the border into Texas, and they're okay with that one. Just not in my neighborhood. Your neighborhood, that's fine. But I bet you don't leave your doors unlocked at night. And if you do, it's only a matter of time, and you won't have what you have currently. Vera Lynn says, Amy, thank you, heart. You too. Fab Daddy says, if there wasn't a government to take your earnings, there would be something else. See, stop and go down this rabbit hole with me there, Fab Daddy. If there was not a government to take your earnings, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? You would have every penny you earned. But then again, you would be responsible for everything. Roads, hospitals, military, protection, taking care of people that are in need. Everything that the government does do, you would have to do. That's why you pay the taxes that you're not supposed to have to pay. Because here's an interesting thought, and you may really hate this one. Originally, there were no income taxes. The government was set up to be funded 100% by tariffs. 100% by tariffs. And then some Democrat said, well, we can't tariff everybody. That's just bad business. Well, you got to get money somehow because the government has to exist, right? We got to pay all these people something. So in comes the income tax. It was over a war. They started the temporary income tax for just a year, just to help pay for the war effort, which never went away. Because when you give somebody power, they don't give it back. That's just the way of the government. And we are in the position we're in right now because of every little thing that went along that we gave them a little power for, every little inconvenience to us, we gave the power to the government to handle, and they didn't give it back. And now, 150, 200 years later, here we are, suffering the kind of government we have because we gave them the right to be that. Remember the Second Amendment That was put there to stop governments like we have. But we gave them the power so that now we don't have that kind of power anymore. Yes, everybody's armed, and we're going to stay that way. But we don't have the power to overthrow the government like we did back in the day because we gave them too much power. But that's on us. So if the government didn't take your earnings, something else would, I assure you. If you even had a job, because the government causes businesses to be able to function. Fab Daddy says, and no invisible lines. Why would you pay for their laziness? Well, I don't understand that question. That's opposite. No invisible lines, meaning no borders. Why would you pay for their laziness? Whose laziness? The immigrants that came over here to be lazy because you erased the lines? Do you see the problem with that statement? DJ says, Jake, the curry I had is very hot and spicy. Oh, I bet. I love hot and spicy. Hang on, my chat jumped again. Gotta find where it's left off. Good gracious. Here we go. Amanda says, well, we don't have invisible lines. We have a wall. True. Joanne says, W. Q, your turn. Welcome, Joanne. Amanda says, hi, Joanne, welcome. And Aaron says, hi, Joanne. Fab Daddy says, Wall was supposed to be our vice president. What? You mean Walls? No. No, we would not want a sorry excuse for a man to be our vice president. A guy that has to proclaim at the rooftops what a man he is while simultaneously being the most feminine thing that ever existed in the male form. No, we don't want that guy as our vice president. 100% why she lost in the first place. That coupled with the possibility of being the worst candidate ever produced by the American people. Yeah, let's not even go there. We dodged a big bullet. 2 of them. Amy says people who don't like border walls should not have fences in their own yards or gates. And when people trespass and steal your stuff, don't complain. Right on. Walls, not walks. I got it. Vera says, facts, Amy, 100%. Aaron says, Tori Spelling looks like Dobie from Star Wars. Wah-ha-ha-ha-ha, says Fab Daddy. Yes, she does. Got big nostrils. Scary looking woman. Amanda says, so not ketchup. Ketchup is tangy, and this was red sauce like spaghetti or pizza sauce. Shaking my head. It's red. It had ketchup-like tendencies. It was ketchup. Shaking my head. Aaron says, sounds like a good dish. It was. It was delicious. It was baked chicken, so it was kind of like barbecue chicken, but it had the cacciatore sauce on it and white rice under that. So it had the sauce on the rice and the chicken and some buttered bread. It was delicious. Very tasty. Needed some salt, but other than that, it was wonderful. Amy says, Nadler reminds me of the Penguin from Batman. You got it. Nailed it. Dennis Bigfoot says Nadler looks like he smells like a men's room. He probably does. He does look like that, doesn't he? Aaron says Danny DeVito looks like he's a Danny DeVito lookalike. Right. The Penguin. Yep. Amy says Nadler said that Antifa was a myth. Biden requested it, but yet billions was destroyed by that myth. Yeah, I remember that. I remember him waddling up to the microphone and saying something just like that. Dumb people. Biden repeated that it was a myth. Got it. I was like, requested what? Darn autocorrect. Right, Amy? Fab Daddy says, back to politics, Mr. Group Chat. is nominated to the U.S. Assembly instead of NSA. Group chat, I would take that. Group chat's very wise. A lot of people here have a lot of knowledge about everything. I don't know what the NSA has to do with the U.S. Assembly, but I'm with you. Fab Daddy says, should have been fired. Who should have been fired? Let me read that again. I don't understand what you're saying. Back to politics, mister. Group chat is nominated to the U.S. Assembly instead of the NSA. Should have been fired. I don't know who you're talking about. That's a completely different topic than what we've been talking about before. So fill me in on who they are. I don't know what you're saying. Amy says, but yet no classified information was leaked. I agree. Fire the reporter who was eavesdropping. Oh, you must be talking about the signal chat thing. Yeah, I got it. Back to politics, mister. The group chat signal is nominated to the U.S. Assembly instead. What does that mean? I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing. Signal is quite normally what they communicate over. I don't know if you understand how governments work, but they have to talk to each other. And in this day and time, they use their cell phones. But Facebook is not secure. Neither is text to chat. So they use Signal, which is secure unless you're invited to be part of it. Now, what they were talking about was not classified. It was not a classified conversation. It sounded like it should have been to people that don't know what they're talking about, but it was not, in fact, classified. President classifies or declassifies things, and that was not classified. It was insensitive to people who are not in the know. For regular, everyday people, yeah, that's a quite alarming conversation they were having because we're not the ones in charge of doing the thing they were talking about. They are. So can you imagine the conversations that are going on in top brass? How to, take over governments and win wars and cause people to do things and raise money. I'm pretty sure that the layman, everyday, average Joe listening in on those conversations would be appalled and terrified at what they know that we don't. Here's the problem with that signal chain. A reporter was included in it, probably and undoubtedly set up from the get-go by the previous administration just to catch them with their pants down. That's probably why that guy was listening in, and they probably didn't know to look to check and see if there was somebody that shouldn't be there because the people they took over for told them it was okay to use those devices. So they just went with it. They did raise that question, by the way. One of the guys themselves that was in that Signal chat asked when he took over the department, should we be talking on Signal? And the person he took over for said, yes, that is standard protocol. It's on all the devices and everybody uses it, so it's quite all right to use Signal, and so they did. What you're doing is arguing from a point of authority, which you are not. They are. They're in the position to do the things they were discussing, and for us who are not in authority, that would be alarming. The only reason that that information is out here in the public for you to be alarmed about, though, is that reporter that was in that chat who should have kept his mouth shut, because if anybody is guilty of leaking sensitive information, it would be him, not the people that were using the chat. Think about what you're saying. And you should fire that reporter for eavesdropping. He shouldn't have been involved in that conversation. Fab Daddy says, if I get nominated to go to space like Katy Perry, I'll carry a tulip. Right on. I wouldn't mind having tulips while in space. But, you shouldn't minimize that. Katy Perry's a hero. Don't you know that? She changed the world. She felt love. It was supernatural. Aaron says, LOL, Fab, that's funny. You got to make a duck face. Right on, with a tulip. Amy says, oh, my photos showed me a memory from 5 years ago. My husband rebuilding our shed after it burnt down. Lost everything we had in that fire. Oh. Fab Daddy says, Katie didn't kiss the ground. My lips will be covered in dirt. She did kiss the ground. I saw her do it. Meanwhile, her 3-minute ride in space, there was a woman, flesh and blood with tits and everything, that had been in space for a year, stranded because of Biden's administration. Nobody is talking about her exploits. And she was an actual astronaut with scientific background. She actually went through the training and all that. A year in space. Nobody's making her a hero or even discussing her in the news. So, Katy Perry, come on. What it is says Gerald Ford said the only way a woman could be president was if she was vice president and something happened to the president, which just about happened. Right. Well, he wasn't wrong. The problem here, though, is not that a woman being president is a bad idea. It's those women that they keep pushing, the pantsuit type with the cackling voices and the overbearing demeanors. They keep trying to make that woman president. If Melania Trump ran for president, I bet she'd win. How about that? Amy says, if I had $1 million, I'd buy a fur coat and an ottoman. I'm sorry, flashback. I'd buy some property and build a community of tiny houses. Yeah. Take note of the amount of money that was sent to Ukraine during Biden's administration. Just write it down. There's 3 times they sent money, very large amounts of money, in the billions. And then do the math. See how many homeless people are currently in the United States and write that number down. And then do some more math and figure out how much property you could buy with that amount of money and build houses on. Not tiny houses, regular houses. And ask yourself, why haven't we cured homelessness yet? We can send that much money there, but we can't put any money into homeless people. Here's the truth. Normal people, and they always try to sell you this woman works 3 jobs and has 2 kids and she's homeless. That's not real. That's not reality. I'm sure that's a case that may exist somewhere in the world. 99% of homeless people are drug addicts and crazy people. And they choose to be homeless. They don't have to be in a lot of cases. And the ones that do have to be probably should be. That being said, remember when they closed up all the sanatoriums? All the places that were trying to help homeless people or crazy people that walk down the street talking to themselves and pushing shopping carts and things like that. They closed all of those, and then they opened up trucks where they give out free needles to people that want to shoot up. And some places, like Oregon, give away free drugs. How about that? I don't think that's the answer to the problem, is what I'm saying. And if I had $1 million, I would invest it in me and make my home livable and provide for my family and my children. And I would not build 1 million tiny homes that would be destroyed and never used. But it's a great thought. I wish for world peace too. I'm smart enough to know it'll never happen. Amanda says, I can spend the money easily, but feeding a machine and getting nothing in return is pointless to me. But shopping, I'm all in for it. Amen. I can pretty much spend $1 million right now. I could think of enough stuff to buy that would cost $1 million right now. Wouldn't even be hard. I'm just trying to get a $10 super chat, though. I ain't trying to be a million. Debbie says, Vera, cops that write tickets for speeding are the ones that have worked one too many wrecks, and they take that seriously. Or it's because they get quotas and they have to write that many tickets in a month. But I hear you, man. They should be taking it seriously. That's what keeps our roads safe, and I'm all right with that. What I don't like is when they make it a game and they tag people and they get pulled over 20 times in 1 week. Things like that. I don't like that. Fab Daddy says, Amy, fires give people a reason to start fresh and new. It's amazing how quickly we accumulate stuff. That's true. Kevin says, hello, Debbie. Amy says, hi, Debbie. Glad you made it. And yes, hi, Debbie. Amy says, true, Fab, but some stuff can't be replaced. Sentimental things from people that died. Right on. I've lost a bunch of that stuff in my life. What it is says, I'm tripolar. I've got one up on you all. Right on. Hello, Santiago Esbro, and happy birthday today. Now, leave it at that. Don't start any nonsense, and there won't be. Amy says, happy birthday, Santiago, and welcome. Amanda says, hi, Santiago, welcome, happy birthday. Kevin says, happy birthday. Fab Daddy says, happy birthday. And then he repeats himself because apparently it wasn't good enough the first time. Santiago, we'll get there. Calm down. Aaron says, happy birthday. Santiago says, thanks. Fab Daddy says, give me any reason to party. I'm there. Amen, brother. Amy says, Jake has OCD but prefers CDO because he likes things in alphabetical order. You got it. You named it. I'm the kind of guy that'll have a manic episode and spend 6 months learning to play the piano because I have to. I mean, day and night. And then never touch it again. But while that thing is there, I have to do it. Amanda says, right, Amy? And Aaron says, your car is cool, Santiago. Amy says, what it is? That's hilarious. Tripolar. Debbie says, Fab Daddy, good fences make for good neighbors. Amen. Amy says, absolutely, Debbie. Dennis Bigfoot says, they are the ones who believe in giving citizenship to any and all. Right on. I don't believe in that because I believe in finite resources. And we have citizens that were born here, and we should be worrying about them and nobody else. Fab Daddy says, who are they? I don't know who they are. Will Manister says, tell you a secret. Okay, I'm listening. All ears, Will. Fab Daddy says, Dennis. Amanda says, hi, Will, welcome. Amy says, what's your secret, Will? Dennis Bigfoot says, those who stand for ideas without real answers. Well, that's because they don't think. They just respond. That's why we exist. We analyze the situation and come to the conclusions that they should be listening to. Santiago, stop repeating yourself. It's not helping you, and it's not helping us, and it's causing me to have to slow down. And I got to get to the bottom of this thing before midnight. So, don't repeat yourself. Fab Daddy says, I like that answer, Dennis. And Amy Elizabeth says, living in a casino, taking Vera's money. Ha ha. Aaron says, smiley face. Fab Daddy says, I knew I liked you, Dennis. You think like they. Who's they? Dennis says, they are the ones who twisted the 14th Amendment to become birthright citizenship. Right on. DJ John says, Britain have been invaded right now. The Supreme Court ruled one illegal migrant couldn't be deported because he was scared of catching COVID. It's getting mad in this country. Yeah. I understand that. You guys have a Supreme Court too? I didn't know that. Amy Elizabeth says, when we were young and new parents, my husband and I were on welfare, and then we bettered ourselves and got off of assistance. It's supposed to be temporary, not a lifestyle. Right. And I hate to be the one to say it like this, but it's true. It may be a little bit off color or on color, but it's true. If you have a Cadillac, you probably shouldn't be getting food stamps. Amy Elizabeth said, I read that one. Dennis Bigfoot says, but it says unless these people rebel or commit crimes, i.e. illegal border crossers, read the 14th Amendment, Fab. Yeah. Mr. P, what's up, buddy? He says, hey, y'all. Amanda says, hi, Mr. P. Nice to see you, John. How you doing today? DJ says, hi, John. Good to see you. Fab says, I know I was being idealistic. People can be bad. I get it. But it would be kind of cool for a minute, yeah. Listen, socialism works 100% of the time if there's 12 people on an island. But if there's 300 million people, it don't work so well. There's only so much of the pie to be split from, you know, and a pie is not infinite. And when everybody gets their little piece, there's no more pie left. And you can't make more pie fast enough to keep giving pieces. It's just common sense. Amy says, I have an unfriendly chihuahua to protect my house, plus many pew-pews. Me too. Except my chihuahua is part Shih Tzu. So not only will she bite you, but if you step on her, it'll mess up your shoes. Aaron says, Mr. Good to see you, brother. Mr. P. Amy Elizabeth says, hi, Mr. P. Fab Daddy says, like no bad people. Yeah, that would be cool, but it's not going to happen. Dennis says, that's what tariffs are for. Amanda says, I have a Jake to protect me, and I will use him. Right on. I ain't playing either. I'm armed to the teeth, and I have a bad attitude. You come right on in my house. You will go out like a piece of Swiss cheese. Dennis says, exactly. Amy says, Amanda, you have a cute tribble, too. The thief will be overwhelmed with cuteness. Yes. We were sitting in the car today, and she had her head sticking out the window, and some lady walked by and said hello to her, and it made her day. She was the happiest puppy you've ever seen after that. It's like the best thing that ever happened to her. Somebody said hello to her. She's so adorable. And today, first time she got to jump up onto the bed. She made it. She was after a cookie. That's why she had superpowers and got up there. She can't redo it, but she did it once. Dennis says, weak asses did it. Right on. Fab Daddy says, one of my problems is we use government as our feeling police instead of dealing with it ourselves. Yeah, that's true. I kind of see what you're saying there. Unfortunately, a lot of us are not capable of dealing with it ourselves. Hang on, my chat jumped. Aaron says, LOL, I pictured Amanda's dog doing the sad eyes like Puss in Boots and then whooping on them. Right on. Amy says, Aaron, that's funny. Amanda says, yes, she will just try to trip you and chew on you like a chew toy. Right on. Hey, y'all do me a favor and hit that like button. Press the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you get notifications when I'm going to be online. Smash that like button. It's free. It's effortless. It's right in front of you, and it really does help the channel with the algorithms and helps us get recommended to other people. Won't you do that, please? Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me, drink my Kool-Aid. Make your own Kool-Aid as long as you're thinking critical. That's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And hey, if you love what you hear tonight and you want to be part of something special, if you want to help out in some way, help me keep the lights on around here, or buy cigarettes or whatever it is I need, you can do that by going to paypal.me/jakejohnsonband, or CashApp users can go to $jakejohnsonband, or you can put a super chat in the chat box, or you can buy a t-shirt or join the channel or whatever it is you want to do, and I appreciate it very much. I will always do everything in my power to be worthy of that support. I will answer all of your questions and comments as I always do, and I will be here for you 24/7 if you need me. That's why my email address is in the chat. Now, I forgot the rest of that, so I'm just going to get out of it. Super chat. All right. Feed Jake. There you go. Feed. I support that. I'm Jake Johnson. I support this message. All right. Aaron says, the dog yelling, fear me if you dare. Ha ha ha. Cross me if you dare. This is the line of death. You cross it, you die. Okay? You cross this line, you die. This line, you die. This line, you die. This line, you die. Okay, you knock on my door, I'm not coming out. Nah. That's my dog, all right. I don't know why it has a Spanish accent, but Amanda says she probably would, Aaron, if she don't take off from excitement from her tail wagging so fast. Yep. She'd probably run around in circles, get the zoomies, and probably be useless in a home invasion, but I have a gun, so it's okay. Amy says, that's how ankle biter dogs work. They bite the ankles, the perp falls down, and then goes for the jugular. Right on. And Amanda says, no, not Tampon Tim. Tampon Tim. Fab Daddy says, I don't like how you eyeball me. Well, tough. You got a problem? Fighting curs. Seen this too many times. Who's the snowflake? Well, if you want to go there, you're going to find out real quick that these are not for show. Dennis Bigfoot says, you're thinking of Dobby from Harry Potter. It's Jar Jar Binks, I think you meant. Right on. Jar Jar Binks, yep. Fab Daddy says, the NSA director is no longer. Little Marco Rubio is in charge. Yes. First time since Spyro Agnew. Right on. Well, he needs to be in charge of something. He's tiny. Give the man a break. I am wrong, says Fab Daddy. Humphrey. I forgot. Yep. Amy says, Dennis, yeah, Jar Jar Binks is a better analogy of Tory. Dobby is too cute. Dennis Bigfoot says, pretty sure Signal is encrypted, so they probably thought that meant it was safe to use. Exactly. That's exactly what they were doing. And like I said before, they did ask. And the person they took over for said that everybody was using Signal. That was the thing that they used. I mean, what else are you going to communicate on with an encrypted chat? They thought that was what they communicated, and so they went on communicating. And they still are, by the way. Signal is what the government uses to chat on because it's encrypted and you can't break it. But if you're invited in and you're not supposed to be there, you might hear some stuff you ain't supposed to hear. And if you're a reporter with no scruples and a Democratic leaning, you'll put that information out like you're doing something. And now you have been the one who has leaked information into the world that should not be out there. Not them. They're not at fault for this. That reporter is at fault for this. There's no other way to see that. I agree with you, Dennis. And it is safe to use. Amy says, she's an astronaut. She's an astronaut. Aaron says, Dennis, I meant Dobby. I got my movies crossed. Right on. DJ says, and kissed the floor. I kissed the floor and I liked it. Amanda says, let's not minimize that. She's an astronaut. Yeah, listen to Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon. I think it was Tim Dillon. Pretty sure it was Joe Rogan and Tim Dillon talking about the space thing that they did. It's hilarious. Amanda says, and she was in space. She was in a spacesuit, not a bodysuit. Let's not minimize this. That was not a spacesuit. It wasn't pressurized or even tight. Fab Daddy says space isn't even real, and neither are moon landings. I don't know if it is or not. I've never been out there. I know I see something up there with the stars in it, but I don't know what it is. What? Don't do that when I'm talking. I didn't hear a word of that. What did you say? Hello?
I said I'm talking about the one that was on the space station.
Oh. The one on the space station was in a space suit, not a bodysuit. Katie was in a bodysuit, not a spacesuit. Got it. I agree. But nobody even talks about her. Her chin extended this far from being in space because your body starts, removing bone from the equation if you've been up there too long, and you are slowly dying while you're up there because of radiation poisoning. It's like getting 10,000 X-rays a day. It's not a pleasant thing to be up there for that long, and you have rehab when you come back because you can't walk because your body isn't accustomed to weight anymore, and all your blood is used to floating around willy-nilly, and your heart's got to start pumping right again, and all that stuff. Nobody even talks about that, but Katy Perry goes up for 3 minutes and sees the edge of space, the Cayman line or Carmen line, whatever you want to call it, and that's it. That's everything on the news. She's a hero. And then comes home and starts talking about she did that for us. Like, I've given you a gift for me going up in space. I did it for all mankind. You can't even hope to go to space unless you're rich or know Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. These people are so out of touch, it's not even funny. And they got mad at you for calling it a ride, even though that's exactly what it was. Whatever. Dennis Bigfoot says, I don't believe that they went anywhere. It was staged. Well, like I said, Dennis, I don't discount the possibility that it could have happened. If I were a general, and by the way, NASA is a military installation. It is not civilian. It is part of the Air Force. It is ran by generals. If I were a general and I viewed space as a strategic location by which to mount offensive warfare or defensive warfare, I would not broadcast it live on TV for all of my enemies to see what I was doing or what technology I had. I just wouldn't do that. That seems dumb to me. And I don't believe they did it in 1969. I think what they saw on TV was a fictionalized series of events designed to win the space race. Now, what they actually did, I don't know, but I can tell you there is a lot of fuckery involved in the space flights and all of the stuff that they shared with America. It's back then they could not foresee Photoshop. They had no idea that everybody on Earth would own a computer or a cell phone. They had no idea that regular people could use Photoshop in very sophisticated ways. They had no idea that they would live under total scrutiny from now on out. They could not foresee that. And now that we've reached that age and we can look at the material that they gave us, what hasn't disappeared out of whole cloth, it don't look very good. And I'm sorry, I'm not a scientist. Well, I am a scientist, but I'm not that kind of scientist. But what I can see with my eyes seems phony. It just does. Amy says, blue latex version of Bruce Lee's yellow jumpsuit. Right on. Hey, that's a good analogy. I hadn't thought about that. You're right. Amanda says, agreed, Dennis. And John says, it was $150 billion sent to Ukraine from America. Yeah, how many pieces of property and houses do you think you could buy and build with $150 billion? Seems like you could probably solve a big chunk of that if you use that money for Americans. And apparently it's not even that big a deal to send $150 billion because we've done it again in other areas. So apparently we've got several billion lying around that we can just send to willy-nilly things. Why not use some of that, at least one of those 150 billion chunks, on helping people? Why not? Could it be that they know things we don't know and that the idea of homeless people and helping homeless people is not the real thing that we should be talking about, but it's the thing that they put out there so that we can argue over it? Could it be that? Could it be that they know things we don't know? Probably. Occam's razor, after all. And Amy says, if she has 3 jobs and is still homeless, it's 3 part-time jobs, right? I was just saying. They try to sell that version of what homelessness is. Like people are just struggling. They just got in a bad way and they can't seem to get a leg up. they're living in their car because they have to. And that ain't the way it is. You go out any town and go to find the homeless encampment, and you tell me if you run across anybody that seems sane to you while you're there. If you do, I'll personally go help them get a job and get back on their feet and get a place to live. I'll personally do that if you can find one. That's my word. I give you my word on it. Any city in America, you go to where the homeless people are, the Skid Row of wherever the people are. If you can find one person in that group of people that seem sane, that seem like they're just down on their luck and they're there because of circumstance, I will personally see to it that they have a place to live by the end of the year. I'll help that one group of people out. And that'll be more than anybody else has done, by the way, including the people that are complaining about homelessness. I'm pretty secure that I'm not going to have to put myself out. Dennis says it was corrupt because they turned around and bought weapons from us. Yeah. Yeah, the whole thing is another one of those hooey deals. Dennis says, nuh-uh. Catch you guys later. Are you leaving us, Dennis? God bless you, sir. Thank you for being here. Love you all. Love you too, Dennis. Appreciate you being here, buddy, and thanks for the commentary. See you next time. Amy says, unless she lives in California, where housing is outrageous. Right on. She doesn't exist. That's not a real thing. There may be one out there somewhere, but I don't think so. I think most people that are of sound mind work their way through that problem pretty quickly, and they may live in their car for a week or two, but they get back in the house pretty quickly. And if it's female, she knows how to find a man. I'm just saying. You say, well, how dare you? Not all women are like that. As opposed to living on the streets, all women are like that. All men are like that. What are you talking about? Amy says, everything's ridiculous in California. Yes, it is, including the government. Amanda says, good night, Dennis. And Fab Daddy says, sweet dreams, Dennis. And Amanda says, even California, Amy. LOL, even California. Fab Daddy says, Amy, keep state shaming. State shaming? California is a joke. Ain't nothing state shamey about that. Jake, are headphones Bluetooth? These? No, they're wired. State shaming. California is ridiculous. I'll state shame. Amy says, not state shaming. I visited California. It's very expensive and dirty. Right. We'll put it this way. I was given 2 guitars that were in California. It cost me $200 per guitar to have them shipped to me. A guitar weighs 27 pounds with the case. $100 to ship it. Think about that for a minute. From California. Fab Daddy says, my guess is you visited SoCal. I don't know what SoCal is. Socialist California? Yes. Amy says, Fab Daddy just wants to argue for the sake of arguing, but it's fun. And exactly why he does that, I would imagine. I suspect, I'm not sure about this, we've never had this conversation, but I suspect Fab Daddy puts up these arguments to give me something to combat so that we have excellent programming for the show. That's what I suspect. And he's doing his part. Amanda says, yes, Amy. And Fab Daddy says, you stated crap about my state. I do believe I have the right to defend. Well, you can if anything of your state is defensible. Absolutely. Unfortunately, it's a ridiculous state. Move to Texas. You'll see. Amy says, San Diego was a very expensive trip. I saw homeless people living on the beach. That's my experience. DJ says, yes, Jake, we got a Supreme Court. I did not know that. I thought that Parliament made all those decisions. Interesting. I need to learn more about European government because I don't know a lot about it. I have a lot of conversations about it, but I'm limited to, you have a prime minister and a parliament. That's the only thing I know. I don't know anything about how your laws work or what Brexit is and why it's different than, anything else. I get that the EU is a thing and that Brexit was trying to get away from being the EU, but I don't know which one's the right side of that other than Nigel Farage, which I happen to like. And, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I'd like to learn more about it. Amy says, and not one single place served sweet tea. They said we have sugar, you can add it. That's not the same thing. Right. Say your state is Yankeefied without saying your state is Yankeefied. Have some tea. Blah. That's not tea. That's half tea. You hadn't finished the process yet, and you need to add the sugar. Take the lemon out, put some sugar in, you got sweet tea. Amanda says, LOL, right, Amy? Fab Daddy says, I can see that. You're not wrong. We got a lot of shit wrong. I just try to understand all of you. You absolutely maddening. Well, we love you, buddy. I know your state's kind of weird. But you got a lesbian fire chief, so you're good, right? Aaron says, sweet tea is excellent. Yes, it is. It's not only excellent, it's the only way tea should be drank, and the Northerners need to know that. And we need to beat it into them. If it takes another civil war, then so be it. We got to get the sweet tea thing right. How can we come together as a nation when you won't even drink tea right? Patty says, hi, DJ John from England. Amanda says, LOL, yes, Aaron, I make 4 gallons of tea at a time, like twice a week. Yeah, because she likes her tea less sweet than I like mine because she's secretly a Yankee but won't admit it. But I like tea and sugar. She doesn't. Chat jump. Gotta find where I was at. All right. DJ says, I'm going to say good night, all you lovely people. Stay safe. Much love. See you tomorrow night for Bible study. John, get you some rest, buddy. God bless you. Thank you for being here. I'm not far behind you, my friend. See you tomorrow night. Debbie says, Amy, do you let the sun make your tea in the summer? Oh, I used to do that when I lived in Georgia. We did that a lot. Sun tea is delicious, but it takes too long. Now I just boil it. And my mother had a kick. She liked that Nestea instant tea, the company Nestea. And she'd buy those jars of instant tea, and she liked to make that. I never did like instant tea, but you get used to drinking something because that's what your mama makes, and you just drink it. But me personally, I prefer Louisiana tea, and I boil it. And to me, it's better. But sun tea is delicious, but it takes 4 hours to do. Amanda says, good night, DJ. Amy says, San Francisco has an app that warns people where the human feces are located. Right. Interesting. Have you ever looked at that app? It is full of shit. Much like everything else, it's full of shit. DJ says, hi, Patty Hart. Fab Daddy says, later, DJ John. Amy says, no, Debbie, I don't have the patience for sun tea. Right. You got to get that tea right now. Amanda says, me either, Amy. And I designated teapot. I have a designated teapot. Well, yeah, because if you try to make tea in my coffee pot, I'm going to punch you in the eye. Ruin my coffee pot. Aaron says, in Florida, it gets done in like 15 minutes, LOL. Yeah. Amanda says, true, Aaron, LOL. Aaron says, sun tea. The Sunshine State, says Amy. Aaron says, more like Florida man state. Fab Daddy says, 2 and 5, chat. I will be watching while I eat. So be kind and stay hydrated. Fab Daddy, enjoy your dinner. Is that sausage you were cooking? Enjoy that. And tell me how it was, because I love sausage, especially homemade sausage. Amanda says, more like Floridians. Aaron says, facts. And Amanda says, good night, Fab. And God bless you, Fab Daddy. Thank you for being here. We'll see you tomorrow night. Amanda says, I'm not a Floridian anymore. You're a North Kakalakian. Amy says, I've never been to Florida. You ain't missing anything. I tell you what, just wait till the hottest day of the year, get up on your roof and take some crystal meth, and you'll be in Florida. Amanda says, accept my birth certificate and my ID, LOL. Right on. Aaron says, I signed up for a 5K coming up, and I'll send a video when it's done. I could use some support. Is that like a marathon thing? I'm not sure what that is. I'm guessing marathon. Yeah. I'll support you. I'm not running, but I'll support you. Aaron says, signed up. I got you. Amanda says, it's a wild place, Amy, but you aren't missing much. Yeah, the thing about Florida is, and I can vouch for this because I'm basically from Florida. I'm from Georgia, but I grew up in Florida. You'll see things in Florida that you won't see anywhere else in the world, like a car with an air conditioner sticking in the window, or like a man wrestling an alligator for food, or, there's some interesting stuff that happens in Florida. But it's all drug fueled. It all comes from a place of too much methamphetamines and not enough sense. Too many mouths and not enough teeth, if you know what I'm saying. Amy Elizabeth says, good luck, Aaron. And Amanda says, okay, Aaron, I'm still waiting on the peacock dance video. Right? Aaron says, thanks, Amy. I'm pretty fast. Aaron says, I ain't forgot about it. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. I wouldn't brag about that. Amy says, I'm not fast. I'm slow but steady. Well, you know what they say about slow and steady wins the race. Aaron says, I just have to make it good. Right on, like a turtle. Yeah, like the turtle in the hair. Slow and steady. Amanda says, LOL, Amy and Aaron. Amy says, I'm not turtle enough for the Turtle Club. Debbie says, Aaron, if you see me running, you better run too, because I assure you it's not for fun or health. Right-o. Patty says, no yelling at the help, sir. Right-o. Amanda says, damn, this got deep quick. Right-o. Amanda says, LOL, thanks, Patty. Amy Elizabeth says, that's what she said, Amanda. Right on. I keep saying right on. I don't know why. Patty says, smiley face with a tongue sticking out. Amanda says, we need earbuds or a side chat screen or something. I told you I'll fix that up. I got a way to make that happen. Aaron says, Debbie, if I see you running, whatever is after you better turn around. We got your back. Right on. Right on. Right on. I'm really not a moron. I just talk like one on TV. Patty says, Xanax before showtime. Oh, that'd be nice. Debbie says, thanks, Aaron. Amanda says, I wish, Patty. LOL. A Xanax would be nice. I'd prefer an oxycodone, but whatever. That's why I refrain from everything except cigarettes. Amanda says, a big fat joint or something. I don't smoke pot, so that didn't work for me. Patty smiles. Debbie says, Amanda, puff, puff, pass. Stick Bro Lord says hi. Hey, Stick Bro Lord, welcome. Have you seen stickdeath.com? If you haven't, I assure you, you need to have that in your life. Stickdeath.com. Go check it out, if it's still up. It was a 90s thing, so it's probably not there anymore, but I'm sure you can find it. Stick death. Just type that in Google. See what happens. Amanda says, I wish, Debbie. And Amanda says, hi, Stick. Welcome. Patty says, phony. Phony. Hello? Who's a phony? Mr. P says, God bless. Good night, all. See you tomorrow for Bible study. Well, that was fast. Hi and bye, John. Nice to see you, buddy. Amanda says, LOL, no. I just got to get some stuff taken care of first. What are you talking about? Amanda says, good night, Mr. P. And Patty says, it's a big deal, all right. I'm lost. I have no idea what we're discussing. Amy says, it's pouring down rain and my internet is dropping. Yeah, we've been threatened rain all day today, but it hasn't started yet. So I don't know if it's going to rain today, tonight, or in the morning, but it's supposed to be here. What? Smoking weed. Okay. That is a big deal. Amanda says, right, Patty? And, oh, no, Amy, get indoors, LOL. And Aaron says, Amy, about to move slow and steady. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron, turtle, smiley face. That's a cute turtle, by the way. And then she says something else, slow and steady, but I don't know what that is a symbol of. It looks like a pig with a big set of lips, but I can't tell. I don't know what that is. Vilified Logic says, I want to take up smoking. It'll make me look cool, and it's something to do with my hands. Well, Vilified Logic, I don't recommend smoking, sir. If you haven't done so in your whole life, I recommend you stay right where you're at and don't take it up. Find something else to make you look cool and do with your hands. That being said, if you enjoy the taste of tobacco, go right ahead. Aaron says, I sent you a message, Amanda. I know. My phone was dinging. Amanda says, hi, Logic. Welcome. And Amanda says, okay, Aaron. Amy Elizabeth says, Vilified Logic. Don't start smoking. It's a horrible addiction. It is. It's really bad for you, too. And it'll make you have lots of problems breathing and talking. Not immediately. You're going to feel for a while like you can do anything. It's not affecting you at all. I don't know what these people were talking about. Smoking doesn't bother me in the slightest bit. And then one day, you can't breathe. You feel like an elephant sitting on your chest and you're coughing up brown shit that's got the consistency of, I don't know, licorice. Then you'll know you're going to die of smoking. I don't recommend it. I don't practice what I preach, but I'm telling you, it's not a good thing to start doing. Amy says, they say that nicotine addiction is harder to break than heroin. I've tried several times, and I can't seem to quit. Well, do more heroin. Seems logical to me. Amy says, it is, Amy. Amanda says, it is, Amy. I quit smoking cigarettes 14 years ago, and now I vape, which means you didn't quit. You just switched. Debbie says, our town has one homeless man, but the thing is, he has a house. He just forgets now and then. Different people take him home, and the churches make sure he's fed. That's beautiful. And God bless your churches for doing that. Sometimes he probably doesn't have family to take care of him. Sometimes we get in that situation. Vilified says, I could fall asleep to this guy's voice. Well, thank you, Vilified. I appreciate that. Please do hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell icon so you get notifications. You can come check me out all the time, and I appreciate you. Bad Shit Crazy says, Chief, what's up, Bad Shit? Nice to see you. Patty says, Miss Amanda is vaping like smoking? Yes. I'll show you. Same thing. Except I'm out of juice. Same thing. That is a nicotine delivery system The only difference is that doesn't have tar and all the chemicals they put in cigarettes. So it's probably better for you in the long run. But then again, you got to worry about long-time effects of glycerin attaching itself to your lungs, which is what makes the smoke happen. It works like a fog machine, turns glycerin into smoke because it gets hot and the salt burns off and turns into steam. Anyway, it's probably better for you. The times that I have vaped instead of smoking, I could tell a difference in my breathing. My voice got better. Everything kind of worked better. So vaping is probably way better than smoking. The difference is I've been smoking since I was 13 years old. It's not a thing I'm going to quit. It's part of me. It's what I am. I don't recommend you do it. If you haven't started, you shouldn't start. Amy says, Logic, you're saying he has a smooth voice? Nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. It isn't as smooth as it used to be, but thank you. Chat jumped again. Hang on. Amy Elizabeth says, hi, Batshit Crazy. Amanda says, yes, Patty. And hi, Bat. And LOL, no, I like sweet tea. And he likes syrupy tea. No, I just like 2.5 cups of sugar in my gallon tea. And you like 1/2 cup of sugar in yours. That's not sweet tea. That's teasing tea. Aaron says 13 people and 14 likes. That's cool. Now it's 16. Thank you, people. Thank you for the likes. Super chats are available in the chat box if you want to. VJ. Amy Elizabeth says, Jake's voice is getting better. He had long COVID and it's affected his vocal cords. Yes, it did. I had it very badly when it first came out. While they were still talking about it on the news, before it was widely known that it was in America, they were talking about it being in China. I got it then and it nearly killed me. I had it for 5 months and it did not get better for 5 months. And I thought I was going to die. I thought I had cancer. I didn't know about COVID, so I thought I was dying. I was getting tunnel vision when I breathed. I couldn't get any oxygen. I was wheezing. My voice left me, and it was just bad. And it took me 2 years to recover from that, and I got my voice back. And then a year later, I caught COVID again and lost my voice again. And now I'm still in recovery. And some days is worse than others. Right now it's pollen season here at the house, so it's really bad. But I'll get better. Batshit says, bartend 4 lots Pyrex stuff from a science guy. I bartered 4 lots of Pyrex stuff from a science guy to make the purest tea, etc. And those beakers. Nice. Pyrex is a good glass to burn. Don't ask me how I know. Amanda says, I love his voice, even when he don't have one, LOL. Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. DJ says, tea, let it brew and then add sugar and then milk. Proper way to make tea. Oh, you like the tea and milk. My father drank tea and milk, and I used to drink it when I was a little boy. I don't really care for the flavor of it because I don't know. I don't know why I don't like it that much. I like milk in my coffee, and I used to drink it as a little boy in my tea, but it's just one of those things you grow out of, I guess. I don't really dislike it. I just like my tea like I like my tea, you know. But my father was a big tea and milk guy. Amanda says milk don't go with tea. Ooh, yes it does. And it's actually good. And believe it or not, there is a culture of people that drink tea and milk. Amy says milk and honey in tea is an acquired taste. It's not too bad. Right. The milk gives it a kind of an airy flavor. It lightens it up a little bit. It's more like a drink. I don't know how to explain it. It does do something to the tea. It makes it a little bit different. You should try it. At least once in your life, you should try it. Just pour a little milk in your tea until it turns milky brown, just like your coffee. Same thing, same consistency. And drink it. You'll like it. Patty says, hey, I'm going to turn in. Thank you, Jake and Miss Amanda. Just so glad to be here tonight. I'm just so glad you were on tonight. See you tomorrow night. Well, Patty, I love you, sweetheart, and thank you for being here. And you make my day every time you come, so thank you for being here. Get you some rest, honey. We'll see you tomorrow night. Amanda says, good night, Patty. See you tomorrow night. And Aaron says, come visit, Amy. Right on. Batshit says, metals always leach something. Metals always leach something into the heated contents. Stainless, probably least, though. Yeah, right on. Yeah, if you're gonna use something to cook with, use stainless steel. Don't use aluminum. Aluminum will give you problems in the long run. It'll cause Alzheimer's and other things too. Stainless is probably the safest thing to cook with. And that being said, I don't know for sure that it's not dangerous also. I just know it's probably better than the aluminum, because aluminum does leach. Andrew Langlois. Hey, man, long time no see. How you doing, buddy? He says, snapping turtles in Kentucky like to eat rodents and lagomorphs. I don't know what a lagomorph is, or a lagomorph. What is a lagomorph? Is that a retarded alien? And I mean that in the slow down sense, not the Amanda says, right on. Right on. Right on. And hi, Andrew. Long time no see. Right on, right on, right on. Is that like realize? Batshit says, ghost weed. Interesting. Aaron says, right on. Right on. Right on. You didn't say, well, you did say one of them, right? Batshit Crazy says, I gets tested rarely, but very thoroughly. What do you get drug tested? If you have that kind of job, you probably shouldn't be smoking weed. Amy says, have you watched the movie short called Godzilla vs. Bambi? I have not, but I'm intrigued. Aaron says, that's Jake's way of telling us to write on in the chat. Amen, brother. Right on. I like it. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. Amy says, right on, right off, Danielson. Yep. You chat with me long enough, you'll learn karate and not even know it. That is not a sloth. I don't know what kind of emoji camp you've been going to, but that's not what a sloth looks like. They look like this. Aaron says, send it to me, Amy. Send what to you? Amanda says, Jake waxes on, waxes off with his nipple tweaks. Shh. Amy says, after the show, I will, Aaron. Aaron says, cool. Amanda says, Amy sends some funny shit. Yes, she does. Aaron says, she's comedy gold. Yes, she is. Amanda says, that she does, Aaron. And she is. Batshit Crazy says, Amy L. Hammer, cool, eyes. Righto. Aaron says, I mean to say Amy is comedy gold, saying she was rude. Sorry. Amy says, depends on the vape, I guess. And some of us like smoking pot. They've got the CBD vapes and the THC vapes. I just do the tobacco, though, if I'm going to do anything. I like the flavor of tobacco. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron. And yes, Amy, mine is pure vegetable glycerin and nicotine. No flavors or salt or any other junk. Right on. Batshit Crazy says, no moleste. Do not disturb. Hilarious. Espanol. Right on. Amanda says, don't usually do the disposable ones. I have a mod. Yeah, I got a pretty expensive one, too, that a friend of mine gave me. It's very nice. It's a little bit old school. They have newer ones, but this one's pretty sweet. It does the thing. I think it's about $200, that whole setup. But I got it for free. It's pretty sweet. It's a pretty sweet deal. Amy says, okay, I'm going to sign off. See y'all tomorrow for Bible study. Love y'all. We love you too, Amy. God bless you, and thank you for being here, and thank you for the continual humor. You are a one-of-a-kind, darling, and we love you. Amanda says, good night, Amy. And Aaron says, good night, Amy. Hugs. And Batshit says, for SCOTUS. Amy L for SCOTUS. That's not a bad idea. She'd probably be good at it. Andrew says, bunnies and hedgehogs are lagomorphs. I did not know that. I learn something new every day. And Andrew says, I do like milk tea. Mexicans, when they make horchata, is a rice milk. Interesting. I've not tried that before. But I have tried tea and milk, and it is good. You may or may not like the flavor combination, but you can't say it's bad. There is something it adds to the mix. It makes it different. It makes it a different kind of drink. But it is refreshing. And it probably started because the old people probably put milk in their tea to get a little bit of something nutritious in their tea. Make it, more economical to drink because you're just drinking tea. It doesn't really do anything for you. But if you put milk in it, it adds a little bit of calcium to your bones. So that's something. I don't know. I'm guessing. Andrew says rice and millet are similar in a sense. Right on. To tea. I guess you could say that. I see what you're saying. I think they make some kind of rice drink, some kind of rice tea. Millet is just crushed up rice, isn't it? I might be wrong about that. Amanda says, it's a sloth hanging from a branch. I see it now. It's got its head turned, and it's a profile, but with its head turned. I see it now. It did not look like that at first. And it's upside down. Debbie says, Amanda, sloths are who work at the DMV. So true. I have to do the DMV pretty soon, and I do not want to. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie. And Aaron says, it looks like poop with a mouth. Amanda says, shit mouth. Ooh. Big old nuts says, look up Trump Epstein, Katie Johnson civil case court documents on Google. Why? Why would I do that? It's a red flag. An alarm. Blank. Nah. I'm not interested in propaganda. But hello, big old nuts. Welcome to the show. Amanda says, hi, big old nuts. Welcome. Big old nuts says, thank you and heart. What's the deal with Trump and Epstein and Katie Johnson? I've not heard about this. Amanda says, you're welcome. And Amanda says, Jake is going to like your name. Man, I do. It's nice. Big old nuts. Amanda says, we both got to do the DMV. We can make it a day. We're going to have to because I hate the DMV. That is a waste of time if there ever was one. But I'm coming up on renewal time, so I hope I can get my license. My eyes are pretty bad. Debbie says, pack a lunch, Amanda. You'll be there all day. For nonsense. Takes 15 minutes to look in the little thing and tell them what they want to hear and take your picture. But you'll be there all day waiting. And you'll be lucky if you get up there and they don't tell you have to go back to the back of the line for some reason. Didn't check a dot or cross an I or whatever. All right, folks. It's 10:46 and I'm not getting any younger. My voice is cracking up, so I'm going to get out of here. Amanda says, LOL, right, Debbie? Florida finally got it fixed. it's approximate. It's appointments only. Right on. Aaron says, you made it to the bottom. Made it to the bottom. Batshit says they do appointments in Texas. I think they probably have appointments here too, but most people just go there and wait. It's kind of ridiculous. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. I've enjoyed the conversation immensely. I've had a great time tonight. I hope all of you have too. May we see you tomorrow night for Bible study here on Untethered Live. Come by at 8 p.m. sharp. Well, that's where we'll be. That's Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. And we'll do something good. We're finishing up the book of Luke, so go check that out. And I'll see you guys tomorrow night. Batshit Crazy says, peace, white flags, doves, and check marks. Live long and prosper, Batshit Crazy. Amanda says, good night. Untethered Live family, see you all tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on Untethered Live for some Bible study. Much love, y'all. Hearts and smiley faces. All right. God bless you all, and thanks for watching. See you then.